Just trust and say the very first thing that comes to mind. When you see something, give me as much detail as possible. Talk to me and give me as much detail as possible. You will be safe and protected. Don't overthink it. Allow me to guide you through the session. Believe in yourself and trust the process. Take a deep breath in and exhale. My truest intention is for you to experience the most out of your life, to live a more fulfilled, happier life. If I were to say to you, see a bird, can you picture a bird?
Yeah. It's an eagle.
An eagle.
My pet eagle. Yeah. It's one of my power animals.
If I were to say to you, see a yellow flower, can you picture a yellow flower?
Yellow flower. Yep.
If I were to say to you, see a blue car, can you picture a blue car?
A blue car?
Yes.
It's blue car. Blue car. Blue car. Blue car. Yep.
Okay. If I were to say to you, see a dog, can you picture a dog?
Which one? Yeah, okay, my pet dog. Yeah.
If I were to say to you, see a cat, can you picture a cat?
Oh, yes.
Will you picture a green tree with lots of leaves and the wind is blowing through them?
Oh, yes.
Can you picture that?
Yeah.
This is the part of the mind we'll be working with today. This is the part of the mind that has the pictures and the memories. This is the part of the mind that is active at night while you sleep, because this is the part of the mind that has the images and the symbols. You'll be able to describe these images with details as you see them, just like you see them in your dreams. This is the part of the mind we'll be working with today. So just for this little while that we do this today, you have no worries. You have no problems. You can relax and be here in this moment. You have nothing to worry about. So enjoy the way that that feels, to not have anything to worry about. And enjoy the way it feels to have relaxation moving through your body. If there is any tension anywhere in the body, they will flow out and away. They will flow out, release them, and let them go. Release them and let them go. We don't need them. You do not need them. Enjoy the way it feels, this relaxation moving through your body. It's a luxury that very few people take advantage of. To take a little time out of their day to just relax and not to have to think about anything. Take advantage of it while you can. Enjoy the experience. Remember, when you awaken, you'll feel wonderful all over, just as though you had a nice, relaxing nap, an enjoyable nap. You'll feel truly rested and refreshed anytime you do anything like this. It will always be an enjoyable experience. Remember, if you hear any sounds in the room or any sounds outside the room, they're natural noises occurring in the background. They will not bother you in any way or distract you in any way. If you hear anything, it will just fade and become a part of the background. Now, I would like for you to imagine a beautiful pyramid of golden light, and it's showering over you. Allow the golden light to flow, starting at your head, washing over your neck, covering your body and your waist. The golden glow is gliding over your legs and feet. As the golden light of protection washes over your body, surrounding you with great protection and comfort of light. This is allowed to be your shield of protection. The golden light is very powerful, and it's all around you. It will protect you from anything. It will remain around you the entire session. Nothing can harm you mentally or physically. You're protected, you're safe, you know it, and you feel it. This makes you comfortable and safe. Now, I would like for you to imagine the most beautiful place, a place you consider to be beautiful, a place with no worries and no problems. It may be a forest, it may be a seashore, it may be a meadow, a place you consider beautiful and peaceful. Can you find a place like that?
There's so many. There's so many different places. I first saw a forest with a river going through it, rivers, and warm, and it reminds me of another meditation. Going through, just walking through the river, the shallow river, because there's no paths. You just walk up the river, and you come along sort of a bend in the river, and then there's a fork. On the left-hand side, there's a sort of type of a Buddhist temple, and there's a nice place to rest there. You just go out and I just sit there and look at the river flowing by, and above there's an eagle. It's screeching, and the screeching is calling my soul, which is a beautiful feeling. It's talking to me.
Very nice.
Yeah.
You have no worries in a place like that.
Oh no.
It's peaceful. There's no worries and no problems. Just peace and quiet. Take a deep breath in and enjoy the fresh air. Exhale and relax. Can you see the sky from where you are?
Yes, through the foliage, yes.
I want you to look up, and I want you to picture a fluffy cloud coming into view.
Okay.
I'm going to ask you to do something. It may sound strange, but I want you to float up to that cloud and sit on it. You don't have to worry. It will support you, just like magic.
Okay.
What would it feel like to sit on that cloud?
Well, I can look down onto the forest in the bottom. I can see the birds, or the eagle. Yeah. Just feels light.
It will hold you just like magic. It's very comfortable, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
Lay back on that comfortable cloud. Allow it to absorb all your weight. It's such a beautiful, wonderful feeling. It's like you don't have any weight at all. You can become one with that beautiful cloud. If you lay back on that cloud, allow it to absorb your weight, if you want to. You can wrap yourself up in the cloud, or you can snuggle down in the cloud. That's such a beautiful, comfortable, safe feeling. It's almost as though you don't have a body. As you become one with that beautiful, soft, comfortable cloud. And this cloud is floating through the air, and it's carrying you with it. Soft, protected, drifting and floating, floating and drifting. And this cloud is drifting over the land and over the valleys, over the mountains, and it even floats over the ocean if you want it to, carrying you with it, soft, protected, comfortable, and safe, drifting and floating, floating and drifting, over the land, over the valleys, protected and safe. And this cloud is magic, because not only can it carry you over the land and over the valleys, it can carry you back and back and back in time and space to another time, another place, where there is information we would like to find to help you the very best way that we can. The cloud is moving, and it's carrying you back and back and back. We're looking for the most appropriate time and place to stop, look, and experience. The most appropriate time and place to stop and examine and look. Now the cloud is slowing down. It's stopping at the most appropriate time and place. Now that the cloud has stopped at the most appropriate time and place, I want you to drift off the cloud, back down, down, down to the surface. It will not be sudden, it will be gentle drifting down, back down to the surface. As you drift down to the surface, tell me the very first thing that you see.
I see a guardsman in protective clothing, armor. It could be armor, it could be leather, strengthened leather, but it feels oriental, from Far East, and he's standing in front of a wall, big wall, very high wall, of stone. He's got a funny shaped hat on. It's pointed at one time with a round ball on the top, yellow. It's very. I can't describe the shape. He's got a neck protection, shoulder protection, breast protection, and skirt protection and leg protection.
Can you turn around? What is he protecting?
Well, on one side is this big, well, it's like a fortress.
Okay.
And then looking out, it drops down as the land drops down. It's on the top of a hill, and you've got a very, very wide view. I think I can see in the distance. As the land is green and yellow. Must be autumn.
Is there any smells in the air?
Hay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you look at your arms or legs? Can you tell me the color of your skin?
They're not white and they're not black. They're in between somewhere.
Okay.
So brownish. Yeah, brownish, tanned brown. Bare. I think I've got a tunic on. I'm not sure. but it's not like this chap there. he's all in full regalia.
Okay. And you're just standing there protecting the
I'm not.
fortress?
He's protecting the guard. Well, I think it's a gate or whatever.
Okay.
And I'm just sort of. I don't know what I'm doing there.
Okay. Well, tell me about you. What do you look like?
What do I look like? Male.
Okay.
I think I've got a very small beard. I'm not quite sure, but it's a black beard. It's not very long. Yeah. And I've got the impression that I've got a braid, a sort of a long ponytail, which is braided on my back. Perhaps I've got a hat on as well, but as I said, my arms are bare. I've got a long tunic on, which reaches down to the ground. And I think I've got some types of sandals on, but they're made of wood, wooden sandals.
Okay.
And I think I've got a staff in one hand.
Do you feel young or old?
I'm older. I think this black beard is certainly turning to grey at the moment.
Do you feel healthy?
Happy is too much. Content, perhaps. Happy, that's content. A little bit hungry, actually. Oh, I could eat something. Something light. Rice. A bit of bamboo shoots in there. A bit of shiitake mushrooms. Perhaps I'm going to have something to eat. I'm not sure. It feels like midday or lunchtime or sometime.
Okay. Do you know why you're standing facing the guard?
Why? I've been trying to think about that one. It's nothing comes to mind. I was just passing by. Perhaps it's on the road to go into a village which is further down in the valley. And I had to go along this path in front of the gates.
Okay. Besides for the staff, are you carrying anything?
I've got the impression of something on my back. I'm carrying a rucksack or something, or a bag on my back. It's like a bag with shoulder straps.
Okay. Can you take off the bag and look inside? What's inside of it?
Oh, money. There's a bag of money. There's some. It feels like dried herbs. I don't know what they're for.
Okay.
Some small files.
Okay.
What else is there? A stick? A small stick? I don't know what that's for. No, it's the bag's not money. I think the money bag is on a belt around my waist. But what's that other bag? Perhaps stones. Stones of some sort, and probably crystals, small crystals.
Whenever you look at your money, what does it look like?
Dark. It's got a hole in the middle, and sort of stripe, ridges on it. So it's round but ridges on there and a hole in the middle. If I turn it over, it seems to be like Chinese characters on there. I'm not sure.
Okay. I would like for you to go to the place where you live.
Where I live?
And I want you to look at it from the outside.
Where I live? Well, I actually was going to the restaurant, to one of the kitchens or whatever, taverns or whatever, to have something to eat. But I can go forward after that and back. Oh, I lived in the village. There seems to be some water, some narrow waterway in the middle. and I'm on the left-hand side, and I come to a small wooden shack. Not very elaborate, but it's enough. It's like a row of them. It's possibly got a little bit wider than the others, and because at the back I've got the impression I have a small garden, but it's fenced in on all three sides because of the neighbours. But I've planted some stuff there, herbs or something to eat, in fact. It's very rich black soil. Yeah. There's not much, and there's a cooking hearth there, a sort of pot over a stove pot, a big round pot, and there's a fire pit. And on the left there's shelves with pots and jars and what have you there. Things hanging from the ceiling to dry, either herbs or vegetables. Opposite there's a table where I eat, and I think behind there on the right that's where I sleep, which is very simple. Very simple. Otherwise, that's it. It seems like a 2 or 3 room, 2 small rooms.
Does anybody live with you?
Sorry?
Does anybody live with you?
No, I live on my own.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So I want you to tell me about what you do with your time through the day.
Well, it seems to me I deal with a lot of, I might be a sort of healer. That people come to see me and ask me to help them with illnesses and what have you, and I see what I can do for them. The word comes into my mind, moxibustion. That means that I must be doing something with needles, acupuncture as well. That could be what's in the pouch in my backpack.
Is that to heal pain?
Many things. I mean, you can do so many things with acupuncture. And moxibustion is to burn off. You put the needle in, and you put a small holder on the top. In there you've got some burning incense, or burning something which is burning. Sort of depending on what ailment he has, you've got different types of herbs which you put in there and light up, and it burns it off. It burns it off. It burns the energy off, which all the bad stuff comes out. You just prick the skin, and what clogs the cells under the skin just comes out.
How long have you been doing that?
Well, quite a long time, because I'm fairly old. I'm getting on in age now. I think I learnt it in a big city. I had to do quite many years as an apprentice. I think 12 years comes to mind. And then, I went back to this place, or I went to this place. Don't know why. Don't know what connection that is there. But I came there, and the word spread very quickly. There's a healer in the town, and people started coming to me.
Do you have a lot of people that come to you?
Well, it depends on it comes in waves, actually. It comes in waves. Certain times of the year, you have a lot of people when it's dark and damp and things, and people start going wrong. When it's warmer and clearer and the air is better, the wind comes from a certain direction, they seem to be healthier. Yeah.
Let's leave that scene. Let's move forward to an important day, a day you consider to be important. We have now moved forward to an important day. What is happening? What do you see?
Invasion. Raiders, army. They have to take this fortress, and they sort of, raiding the whole of the town and razing it to the ground and burning it. And I don't get out fast enough, and I'm probably get raided and killed and what have you, either burnt or I'm not quite sure. I was trying to hide, but they torched everything, so I got burnt.
Is that how you died?
Yeah.
Okay. Whatever has already happened, and you're on the other side of it. From that perspective, you can look back on the entire life and view it. Every life has a lesson and a purpose. What did you learn from that life?
Duty. To do your duty, to help people, do your best. Yeah. Always have a good word. Don't get into any fights. Avoid it. You live longer. Learn as much as you can. Help as much as you can. It has the impression that I never had a partner. Another significant other in that life. I was always on my own. I don't know why, but that's the way it was. I don't regret it because I knew so many people. If I went to the restaurant or the dining place to eat, everybody knew me. I didn't talk much, and they just talked to me, and I just listened. But they were pleased to see me. I paid for my food, and sometimes when people are in difficulties, I also gave them money to help them along.
Let's drift away from that life. We're drifting and floating away from that life, leaving the man there to continue on his journey. They will find peace. They will find what they're meant to find. We're leaving them to continue on their path. Now I ask all the consciousness of Chris and the personality of Chris to once again return to the body and fully integrate back into the body. Imagine a river of white energy. Imagine it runs from the heavens through your head, down through the center of your body, all the way to your toes, allowing you to receive messages from higher power. You're still connected to the present, but allow the higher power to speak through you. May I speak with Chris's subconscious?
I'm still conscious.
Mm-hmm. Did you imagine the river
Sorry.
of white energy? Imagine it entering through the top of your head, running in through your head, filling up the space, going down through your spine, and as it goes down through your spine, it fills every space with white, healing light of energy and information, down to the center of your body, filling up all the spaces, down through your legs and into your toes. Let the white crystal energy fill up all the spaces. It brings healing. It brings power. It brings forth information. You're still connected to the present, but allow the higher power to speak through you. You can take a deep breath in and relax. May I please speak to Chris's subconscious? I respect the power of the subconscious because I know that the subconscious takes care of Chris's body and it does a very good job of it. I also know that the subconscious has all the records of everything that has ever happened to Chris in this lifetime and all other lifetimes that he has lived. So I respect the power of the subconscious, and I always ask permission to speak to it and ask questions. May I please speak to Chris's subconscious?
I feel warm. I feel my head is hot at the moment. The body is warm. I feel the power. Nothing's coming.
It's okay. We can go back to another life. We're drifting and floating and drifting. We're looking for the most appropriate time and place to stop and look and experience. The most appropriate time and place to stop, examine, and look. Now the cloud is slowing down. It's stopping at the most appropriate time and place. I want you to drift off back down, down, down to the surface. It will not be sudden. It will be a gentle drifting back down, down, down to the surface. As you're drifting down to the surface, tell me the very first thing that you see below, or the first impression that you have.
Well, as I was drifting, I was imagining sort of going down into a very deep hole. It's like the sides were not smooth, but they were dark. Different hues of darkness, sort of purple dark and brown dark and grey dark. But it felt like hexagonal blocks, elongated hexagonal, but going down deep, 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 deep. I don't know if I've ever reached at the bottom yet. Even coming off the cloud, I'm just sort of floating, possibly going down. I don't know where I'm going. It's dark underneath me, and normally when I'm in water which is dark down there, I get very frightened, but I'm not frightened now. So something is telling me is okay.
So in this space that you're in, do you have a physical body?
No. I don't feel I have, no. It's more oval, black, shiny, oval, sort of nearly like beetle shape. I don't know, but it's not hard, it's just shape. It's shiny, but it's not shaped.
Okay.
I haven't got to the bottom of the chasm yet.
It's okay. Just remain where you're at and observe what's around you.
It's just floating down, just gently floating down.
Is there any other structures around you?
Not really. It's just. We're coming down to the bottom where there's a sort of a type of opening in front of me, coming down, and we're going into this. I think there are lights. I'm not sure, but it's. I think it's just diffuse lighting. And going in. It feels like a spaceship, sort of coming down through a cavern, through a sort of a hole, and then going into this cavern. Strange. And I can see that I am the craft.
Oh, okay.
And I'm just sort of drifting very slowly forward, and going to my park position sort of thing. I can see on the left and the right there's similar things. They're in their park position, so I just sort of come down, and that's it. It's a permanent hover position. And there are other beings I can't. Let's see what they look like. They're biped. They look humanoid, but they've got suits on.
What kind of suits?
Protective suits. I mean, they're fairly bulky. For example, you can see there's a sort of a hinge where the arms and the legs need to have hinges. There's a great big sort of helmet and a visor, which comes down to here. I mean, the whole of the head and the shoulders. The different colour suits. Some have got black suits, some have got white suits, or white colour on these suits.
Now you as the ship.
Sorry?
You as the ship, as being the ship. What is it that you have? What does it look like?
Well, as I said, it looks like a sort of a black beetle type of like a carapace or a scarab or what have you, but it's hovering. Underneath it's fairly flat. There's no wheels or jets or whatever. It's just fairly flat. And I've got the impression, information, that something is going to sort of dock onto me and then take the information out of me. And in front there's this sort of like you can't see through, you can't see anybody, but there's like window, but it's blackened. It's a fairly big operation, actually. It seems like a very complex organisation.
Do you carry passengers?
No, I'm on my own. Okay. I'm on my own. Somehow, I'm not a physical person. I'm a sort of the whole ship is me. There's nobody guiding it except a mind. The ship seems to have a mind of its own, and it seemed to have gone somewhere to go and get information, and they're bringing back this information. But it's as I said, the ship itself has got a mind of its own, a conscious mind. It's not robotic. It's a conscious mind.
And do you know where this place is?
No idea at all. It's I don't know if it's even this galaxy. It's a long way away. It's not in relation to Earth. It's way away.
Okay.
It seems as It's an information center. There's a central intelligence center which is gathering information. For what purpose, I'm not sure. That's a higher knowledge. And I'm just an information gatherer.
Do you feel young or old?
Ageless.
Okay. Do you feel like there's other ships near you?
Yeah.
Are you aware of them?
I can see them. It seems like going around in a circle. It bends. There's a big hall, and it bends, and then I can't see past the bend. But it feels like a big operation. Something's afoot. Something is happening. I don't know what yet. It sounds very science fiction, but it's all very real.
You just trust and allow the images that are coming. Just say the words, everything that you see. After you give the information, what do you do?
Somehow, the first thing that comes into my mind is something. I detach myself from this vehicle and I move out of the ship. I don't know how. There doesn't seem to be a gangplank or anything, but there seems to be a tunnel linking to this building underground. It feels like an underground building, and I go into a corridor. I just feel like a ball of light.
After you go through the corridor, where do you go?
Sorry?
After you go to the corridor, where do you go?
The corridor turns right and then turns left, and then I seem to be going through a door. The door it goes into the wall, and it seems like a conference room, and I sit around a table, and there's a lot of others, beings, balls of light. Sometimes there's a shape. Over there's a person with a very long neck and it's just physical, a funny shape. The different shapes all over. But I've got my place. I can place myself. There's no seat there. You're just there. And in front of me, there's sort of a light, there's a console, which I can imagine would be so that I can communicate my wishes on certain things which I decided, whether it's yay or nay, or whether there's an input or something which I can put something on there to inform the people of my opinion, or what I found, or my experience. So that's sort of an information console for information exchange on other topics as well. If something is being discussed, it seems like there's some troubles which have to be decided how to deal with them. Again, it's light against dark. Lightness against darkness. There's some negative spirits or negative entities which are doing things, and we are trying to find the best way to deal with it. There's been more and more encroaches from this. It seems like another dimension as well. They just don't think the way that we do. They don't go according to our laws. They just do what they want. And we're trying to find a way to deal with the situation. It's to do with the planet which they're taking over.
Can you look around where you're at and ask what?
Well, it's like a very big conference room. It's oval. The sides are oval, and there's quite a number of people there, different types of races, I think. Everybody, it's like a confederation of different races, and they're deciding on what to do. I don't know which planet it is. I don't know where we are.
Does it have a name for the federation that you're with?
Federation of Light is the first thing that comes to mind.
Okay. And about how many people are in the room?
Ooh. I don't know. A good 50 to 100.
Okay.
Yeah. So it has to be all coordinated. So there's no overlapping of duties, and there's no interference. So there's like a general consensus of what we're going to do, and we're going to do it right. It's not a battle situation. It's not a war. It's just a discussion on what is the best way to deal with it. I mean, we don't use weapons as such. Not against races. We may use certain types of light and lasers and what have you, or on inanimate objects, but not against animate objects. Strange.
So let's think about dinner time.
Don't need it.
You don't need it?
No.
Good. So is that how you spend every day, collecting information?
Well, yes and no. There are times when you come back from these craft, which is a protection against dark energies, and you come back and then you discuss and etc. and then you decide, and then when the conference is over, the decisions have been made, everybody's been given their task to do, and you go back into your craft and off you go. Now that could take longer periods than the conference took. So, yeah. So everybody goes back and they whiz off again.
So let's move ahead to an important day. Now we're leaving that scene, and we're going to move ahead to an important day. A day you consider to be important. We have now moved ahead to an important day. What is happening?
Well, there seems to be a confrontation. All these black craft in what we're in are circling around a planet which has been occupied by these dark forces, and somehow we are going to train a certain light beam into the core of the planet. And that will protect the planet itself and make it very uninhabitable for these dark forces to be there, that they'll leave of their own accord. So that's what the conference decided in the end. That there's no killing at all. It's just that we're just affecting the environment in which these people are, or these entities are. They just give up and say, oh, we can't be here. We've got to go. So that's what we're going to do.
Do they have a specific place that they go?
Who? These others?
Mm-hmm. Do you follow them?
Not really. We have ways of following them, but we don't do it ourselves.
Okay.
I think the word drone comes up. It's sort of robotic devices or ships or small ships which are devices, are inanimate, and they follow the people, and they seem to be going through into another dimension.
Okay. Let's go forward to the day of your death in that lifetime that we're watching. You may be an observer. Can you tell me what's happening?
There's a large cavern, and I see a situation where there's a lot of other light beings there, and they're centered onto something like a stage, and they've got sort of oval lights or things sort of focusing on this sort of, what is it? It's like on a table, and there's something on the table, and that's me, but I'm outside looking at it, so that's not me, that's an ex-me. You look at it and say, well, it's a bit paltry, isn't it? Is that all? Because that's so small and you feel so large. But I have the impression it's just a symbolic me. It's not really me. But it's difficult to explain, because somehow it ceases to be me, but I'm still looking at it. That means I can still exist. But I feel I'm in a different state. I feel much larger than that little thing there.
But you can look and see it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you tell me what it looks like?
Just like a white disc.
White disc, okay.
It's just not living. It's nothing. It's inanimate. Looks like it looks like a white round stone, sort of oval shape, but there's nothing in it. It's just it, and it's not hard. It's just there.
For your ship, did it fit like
Sorry?
Did the ship fit over it, or was the ship much bigger?
Ship was much bigger. Ship was much bigger. Besides size is relative. It felt. How could I explain that? It's so difficult to explain. it's as if the ship was an extension of yourself, the mind, that the mind sort of docked into all these other bits and pieces which were mechanical or semi-mechanical or organic or biomechanical, and they did all the work and you just gave the commands. And because you haven't got arms, you haven't got legs, you haven't got a head, it's just there. You don't need an enormous ship. It's it felt good. It felt like home, but it isn't home. It's just sort of a transport vehicle. But it was, you felt at home in it, let's put it this way. Everything was familiar. All the mind instructions that you give it, they were very familiar, and it responded like that. It responded immediately. Yeah.
So whatever has happened has already happened, and you're on the other side of it. From that perspective, you can look back at the entire life and view it. Every life has a lesson and a purpose. What did you learn from that life?
As that disc, as service. Yeah. It was you had a task to do, and you did it, and you volunteered for the task even. It was exciting because you always, you had some humdrum tasks as well because it had to be done. But there were some exciting tasks. Things were really, lots of action happened, but in the end it was a very content, it's a very satisfying feeling of having been of service, of giving your best and all the time.
Okay, I would like for you to relax. You don't have to overthink anything. We're going to try to bring in the subconscious, but you have to try not to control the thinking. Just allow the words to come. So let's drift away from that scene. We're drifting and we're floating away from that life, and we're leaving the disc there to continue on their journey. They'll find peace and they'll find what they're meant to find. We're leaving them to continue on their path. Imagine a river of white energy. Imagine that it runs into the top of your head and it fills up all the spaces with white, pure energy light. It goes down to the center of your spine, and as it runs through your body, it's filling up all the spaces with white energy, crystal light, all the way down through your legs and through your toes, allowing the power to give you messages from higher power, still connected to the present, but allow the higher power to speak through you. May I please speak to Chris's subconscious?
What do you want to know?
I know that the subconscious could have brought forth many different lifetimes for Chris to see today. Why did you bring forth the lifetime of the medicine man?
Because that's what he is. He's always been a medicine man. He's always been of service and help to other people. in all of his lifetimes.
So that's his mission in this lifetime too?
Yes. He hasn't. He just didn't do it fast enough. I mean, he had to wait until he was over 50 before he started. But he did it. He did it anyway, because just the fact that people came up to him and talked about their own lives, that was already part of his medicine job.
And what about the life of the disc? Why did you show him that lifetime?
I'll just show how powerful he is. Because he was one of the leaders, actually, of the council. That he was played down. He was very humble, and that's why everybody liked him. And they elected him to be like the leader of the head of the chair of the council. They always looked up to him because he was so humble. He didn't speak much. He just thought about things and proposed very well thought out decisions and proposed them for discussion.
Can we do a body scan on Chris today?
Well, yes.
Can you tell me how you're doing it?
The body cannot take the energy of the increased energies on Earth at the moment. This is why he feels tired all the time. That's even what he says, the neuropathy, is basically too much energy for the body. The same thing with the noise in the ears and the pressure in the head, and pressure in the spine as well.
Is there anything you can do to help relieve that?
Just turn the energy down.
Okay.
He's been contacting me quite often actually lately, because he's been relaxing his head chakra and asking for the crystalline light to come through. And maybe he should do it less, so that that the body itself will regulate it itself. It's a little bit too much at the moment.
Can you help him to turn it down a little bit?
Oh, definitely.
Okay.
We're working on it.
Okay. Well, while you're continuing your work, can I ask you questions?
Definitely, yes.
Okay. When Chris would like to know about his family at birth, why did he have to go through that journey of suppression, being taken away and split up from his
Well, it was all programmed. If he hadn't done that, there's so many things that would not have happened in this lifetime. It had to be kept a secret on both sides, his mother and his father's side, so that he would find his own feet. Basically, it was his to do, his experience to go through that era, that lifetime. In doing the things that he did, he was always isolated as a child. He always felt different, but he had to learn to cope with it, which he did. All through life, he had always resistance against him as a person. They wouldn't accept him, they didn't understand him, and he had to cope with that until it came to a situation later on in life when he said, Well, it doesn't matter if people don't understand me. I understand me. That's the most important thing. this idea of self-reliance, which self-reliance is next to self-love, which is what he had to learn. Yeah, and there's nothing that he could have changed. He made the right decisions at the right time, although some of the decisions were really, really hard. Having to leave people, he kept on saying, "Why do I always lose the love that the people that I love?" And they're still living, but he still looked after them. He still inquired about them later on because he was still in contact or in commune with them.
And why did he do that?
That's the way he is. He always feeds off this information to care for these others, to make sure that everything, to keep an eye on things, and if anything happens that he can help with, well, he does that.
Okay. So, his second wife had married a husband named Peter who's passed. Has he forgiven them for that situation?
Absolutely. There was a lot of enmity between the two on a lower level, but when he raised his level, he raised his perspective, he could see, well, it was all planned, it was all destined, so why waste energy on negativity and just sort of accept it? I mean, he actually tended his hand to Peter and said, look, okay, we'll call it bygones and everything else and bury the hatchets and what have you. And his Birgit actually thanked him for that. And it helped Peter as well, having this reconciliation. There was that situation which happened quite a few years ago. Yeah.
What about Jason? Did Chris feel, I guess, responsible for leaving him whenever he was younger?
Jace had a difficult time. Jason had a difficult time with his father leaving, and he was so grateful that he could see his father regularly. And where Chris had problems was when his parents were needing him and he had to be in England. And at that time, Jason was still fairly young. He's now 35. Going back to 2003, he was 13. He was 15. And that's the time where Jason couldn't come to see Chris at the weekends, and he started with his friends binge drinking. And it got to a certain situation where he had been learning Kung Fu, and he got into an argument with somebody. He just hit him, and they pressed charges. And Chris had to stand up with him in court, and he paid for the fine. But it was just Jason missing his father, basically. And later on, when Chris was living alone after he left Gudrun, or after Gudrun left the flat where they was living, Jason came in and lived with him for 4 years while he was doing his apprenticeship. And he really enjoyed that time. He felt closer to his father than he ever did. And so of the 3 children, Jason feels the closest to his father, Caroline the second and Alex the third.
So was Jason supposed to experience those?
Oh, absolutely. The thing is that Jason has always been, he wants to do it his way, which is fine, which is all fine and dandy. That's his experience, that's his path. And he had to go through this toughening experience because he was such a cuddly child, such a soft child. He needed the toughness to grow up, so he could deal with more difficult situations. If he hadn't had that, he would have just collapsed with the difficult situations he had later on in his life, which is, well, he's only 35, but he's going to have more difficulties later on. And this is helping him. All the discussions that we're having, he talks a lot to his father. He talks really a lot, and he wants to. Well, he doesn't really want his father's approval, but he does. He believes what he believes, but he can hold his own on an argument with his father. One thing he really did appreciate is that when his father said he had a vision as a shaman, and they went back all the way to an Aborigine situation where they were both in Western Australia, and Chris was actually his grandson, and he was the grandfather, Jason, and he was waiting for him at a little campfire at the top of a hill one evening, late afternoon, and Chris came up and sat at the campfire, and they watched the sun go down, which they always love doing that. They see the sun goes down and they see the sun comes up. They love the sunsets and sunrises. And Jason still loves it now. He takes always pictures of the moon coming up, or the sun coming up and the sun going down. That reminds him of that particular situation in Australia, all this thousands of years ago. Yeah.
So they've lived lives together in the past?
Oh yes. Oh yeah. It's part of the soul family.
Yeah.
It's part of the soul family.
So I would like to move on to relationships. Chris's relationships. He's curious to know why they only last 14 years.
It's a multiple of 7. 7 is a magic number. He has a certain time to live. We won't go into that because he doesn't want to know when the exit time is going to be. But it's always a multiple of 7. The Pleiadian number, 7 sisters.
Right.
Does a pyramid have? No, a triangular pyramid. Does that have 7? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 5. There's a certain geometrical figure that has 7 points and 7 sides. I'm not sure.
What's the significance for him?
Sorry?
What's the significance of the number 7 for him? Were those people supposed to stay in his life?
Well, Chris is an 8. He was born on 8. His 8 is his number, which is basically infinity on its side. The 8 is not yet perfection. He doesn't want to be perfect anyway, but he's not reached perfection yet. But there's a certain perfection in the number, in the round number of 8. 7 is the one before, so 7 seems to be. He seems to be looking back at the 7 and remembering what it was like to be a 7. He's an 8 now. He's been through 7, and this is probably why he's bringing that with him on all these relationships, which are multiples of 7. Yeah. So he's basically got to accept it, saying that's past. Now we're going to go on to 8.
Okay. How's the body scan going?
It's toning down. I mean, the sensations are toning down. There's less sound in the ears. There's less pressure on the head. There's an easing of the lungs. It's a bit more difficult down from the lower back all the way down to the feet. It's nerves that are trapped inside the what you call it, the sacral bone. There's something which is degenerated that is pressing on the nerves.
Is that something you can help with?
We're doing what we can.
Okay. Well, as you can
It'll take a bit longer. We've got to build bone up.
Yeah. As you do that, can I ask more questions?
Yes.
Okay. At one time, he had a vision where he was in or near Sedona, and he's seen it all green, and then in a blink, he's seen it all desert. Can you tell him more about that?
That was 2 lives in one. He was part of this Indian colony, which came down from another dimension and settled. This is what Dolores has written in her book. And he was a member of that colony. And at that particular time, the climate was so positive that the actual valley was green. Everything was green, and this is why they flourished. And they thought, oh yeah, we'll bring the other dimension down into this dimension, and they had it all green, everything. But the thing is that the climate of the earth changed to such an extent that they couldn't keep it that way. So they had to just make a decision whether to stay there or to go back into the other dimension. And in the end, when it was desert, they decided to go back because they couldn't keep the dimension down, or the other dimension down here on Earth. They couldn't keep it going. So they decided to go back.
So where did they go back to?
That's another dimension which is not of this 3D, it's a much lighter dimension. Where are they? It's difficult to explain in this type of 3D Earth language. But the Earth people say that's wheels within wheels. Here it's spheres within spheres, and in this type of geometry that is it's difficult to explain. There are sort of several spheres away from here.
Okay.
It's difficult to explain, but they're happy. They're happy there.
Well, good. So you said it was 2 lifetimes? So the one was...
The thing is that they had the particular person he was again a shaman at that time. And he was very close to nature. He's always been close to nature. And he observed a lot of things. He was again an observer. And he relayed this information back to the elders of the village. Said it was going to change soon. And the elders say, well, can we do anything about it? I said, not really, because you're going to have to change the whole earth, and we're only here on one small area. They didn't mix. They only had this valley. They didn't mix with any other of the tribes. And so because they didn't have the powers on a global scale, they had to accept that the Earth, Gaia, was going to change for other reasons than their being there. They were allowed to stay for a certain period, but at the end they had said, all right, we'll go back now because we cannot continue our existence in the way that we want to, so we'll go back to the original dimension. And therefore the 2 lifetimes was the shaman who reincarnated into that area, because they lived several hundred years there. And he could go back onto knowledge which he had in previous life and talk to the elders about it.
Was he able to remember from both the lives?
Sorry?
Was he able to remember the knowledge from both the lives?
From the previous life, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Because they had a different way of reincarnating. They didn't come with karma. They were allowed to keep their memories.
That would make life easier.
Sorry?
That would make life easier.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Chris has often asked, why do you have to have this cut-off, this separation? The free will is all right, but the separation? He's asked that question quite a number of times.
Yeah. So anytime he has a vision or a premonition, is that him remembering a previous life?
Yes, a previous life or a future life.
Oh, okay.
He's had a vision of 5D. He had a very beautiful dream. We sent it to him saying, you're going to get there. Don't worry. Don't keep on worrying. Just just live in the now.
All right. And what was that one about, the 5D?
Well, he was with a party of people, and they were travelling along this road. They come to a stall, and there was a fruit and vegetable stall, and he saw. He remembers all these colours were so vivid. These colours were so beautifully bright and pure. And in the middle of the stall there was a fantastic, beautiful cauliflower. And he was just going to pick it up. Well, he picked it up, and behind it was a snake. And the snake was munching on a melon. And he was really enjoying this. Oh, and Chris said, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see you there. I do apologise. I don't want you to, And he said, it's okay. But they could talk to each other, telepathically, of course. Right. Chris is looking forward to going to 5D to go and talk to the trees and the plants and the animals and just enjoying a rest from all this duties and services which he's been doing. Right. He's looking forward to that. But it'll come when it'll come.
Right. So, his back half, he had a birthmark, and it's now gone. Yeah,
well, as you said, in a previous session, hold on. I don't know. I can't. Yeah. There was a situation where he had a seminar where people were discussing birthmarks and where they came from. And he mentioned that he had one on his, I think it was his left calf, in fact. It was a dark brown area, sort of triangular. And this turned out to be a hatchet from a battle or a fight which is into his calf, and he bled basically to death because they couldn't stop the wound. So that was a birthmark from that life. And when he found out what happened, well, of course, there's no reason for the birthmark to be there anymore.
Right. Why did he carry it into this life?
Sorry?
Why did he carry that into this life, the birthmark?
It was basically so that he could go into this seminar to find that all out.
Okay.
It's very banal, but there's always a reason for something.
Yes. So he says 4,000 years where he was a guardian of scrolls. Can you tell him more information on that? He said it was about 4,000 years ago.
Yeah, I've got this was in the temple of Dendera, which is near Karnak, because he still remembers seeing this very, very, very massive round pillars at Sonim Dendera. And this was at a time where there was a change in Pharaoh, and the Pharaoh, which was Akhenaten at that time, he was the person who tried to go from many gods to only one god, to Amun-Ra. And if you remember Ashkenatan, he had a very elongated head and a very funny long nose and very fat lips. He wasn't from there. He wasn't Egyptian. He was actually from a different planet or a different dimension. And he came down to try and get this one god going. And the priests didn't like it because they had to change everything and etc., etc. So when Amun-Ra died, when Ashkenatan died, they started destroying everything that he had created. And partly it was also the scrolls in the temple of Dendera. And Chris had, at the time he was just a sort of a lowly scribe who had learnt a little bit with a small dagger sword, and he was no match for the for the priests' guards to come in and to destroy. But they effaced all of the faces of the effigies and the wall reliefs, the bas-reliefs which they had on the walls of Ashkenatan, to try and remove that, and also of his queen. Yeah, that's the reason. And the reason why he had this dream or this regression was, again, to show that his service to, at that time, to his pharaoh, or to the temple priest at least, that he's always true to his duty.
Okay. So he was a scribe of that lifetime?
Yes, he was. He just wrote down what they told him to do. Whether he believed it or not, he was one of the few literate people. The scribes were held in quite an honorary situation because they were learned people.
He often feels that he's a librarian in the Akashic records. Can you speak more to him about that?
That's only this is again fourth dimension. He has been on Earth for quite a long time, and it's not 4,000 years. It's more or less like 400,000 years. Something very long. And it has come to pass that after a certain lifetime, he's gone up to the fourth dimension, and he's volunteered to look after the books in the Akashic records, or the holographic books. And all he has to do is to sort them out and put them back. And when the souls come up and they ask to see their own lives and what have you, and they say, well, what other lives do they have? So he goes and the guides suggest 3 different types of knives, and he's got to get the holographic records from these other knives. He brings them and takes them back and puts them back. So it's not a big job, but he's got to know where to put everything.
Seems like an easier way to learn the seer life.
Well, absolutely. Yeah. He's done that in the past. But he doesn't need to worry about that in the future. He's got other things to do in the future. But he'll find that out later on. We won't tell him about it yet.
So is he supposed to go to France this lifetime?
Oh yeah, he'll go to France this year.
Okay.
The house where Steffi is now living, and where he's living as well, will be sold, and Steffi will at last be able to go to this new house, which has got a fantastic garden, and he's got to work away at this garden because he really likes gardening. There's so many things to clear out, though. There's things that have been overgrown for 10 years, like bamboo and dead bamboo, things like that. But at the same time, he's got this connection to birds and other animals, and he's trying to preserve enough of their habitat, because there are so many birds in that particular small enclave. There's like a little wood that he wants to preserve that as well. And he'll do it. He'll get the bird boxes up and all the little bird houses. He's saved a couple of them already.
And you said that he's going to move there this year?
He's planned to go down to France at the end of March for 3 weeks, and the sale of the house, which Steffi doesn't know yet, is going to happen in May. And once the contract is signed, she can move. She can move down, so May it'll be sort of like June, June, end of May, June. They'll move into the new house. It's a little bit tight for both of them. There's only 75 square meters, but he won't be there for very long. So when he's finished that and he's got the garden help going, he's got to put up a fence for the dog so the dog can't get out. And when he's done that, then he can go off to France, which will probably be at the beginning of September. Before that, it's too hot in France. Beginning of September, he can go down. And he'll come back because he's got to keep an address for tax purposes in Germany, and he can't come down to here because Jason has got nowhere for him to live. So he's going to have to stay with Steffi. Steffi's actually scared of never seeing him again, but Chris is trying to tell her it's all right. I'll be coming back. He's got to keep track down here, so he'll be coming back once or twice a year and staying with her. And she doesn't want him to leave because he's the only contact person she seems to have. Well, now she's got a good friend in Osnabrück, but it's not the same thing. She's female. She's known her since school time. But there's nobody who's living near her because she feels more secure there with somebody in the house. But she'll be okay. She's just got to trust more in herself, and that's another thing. That's for her. That's for her to do.
Yes.
And Chris doesn't have to be. He doesn't have to spoon feed her. She's going to have to learn a little bit on her own.
So they're still contracted to be in each other's lives?
For the next few years, yes. But she will be meeting somebody who will be able to fill some of the role which Chris took over in her life. And there's also a possibility of a reconciliation with at least her mother. Her mother's now, 75? She's got one eye, and she's got a very bad back. She can hardly walk. And she needs her daughter It doesn't matter how much they've had so many difficulties in the past, but they're going to have to do a reconciliation, and Steffi's going to have to look after her mother. She doesn't want to, but she's going to have to. And the good thing is that it's not all that far from where she's going to live in the future. In fact, it's closer than where she is now. So that's going to be good.
Okay. Can I ask how the body scan's going?
The body scan is going to, well, it's only from the waist, the lower waist downwards that is giving difficulty. Upwards it's okay, but down is a little bit complicated. There's a lot of nerves and a lot of nerve endings that need to be sorted out and flushed out.
Okay. Well, I'm going to continue to ask you questions. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Chris is curious about the light language. He says scribbles. Could you tell him more about the light language and what he's seeing?
Well, all he needs to know is the following: that it is that they are his light codes, so that when the ships come in to pick up from 3D to 5D, they'll be able to identify him and pick him up. He doesn't need to know any more than that. It's just good that he knows that they're there. That's enough. That's enough.
Okay. And then he would like to know, whenever, I think it was a meditation that he does, and he goes inside of his heart, that chamber, he sees a crystal ball. Can you tell him more on that?
Yeah, the crystal ball, over time, I mean, it was, at the beginning, it was rather large. The crystal ball was the lost knowledge which he had. And as he gained this knowledge, the crystal ball became smaller and smaller until recently he started the meditation again. It wasn't there anymore. It disappeared. And instead, he had the light language. So he's assimilated now all the knowledge which he lost for this life. And now, yeah, we can go into his heart space and any time he wants, and it's a good meditation for him to do at 3 o'clock in the morning, which is meditation time. And there are certain other light languages, there are other signs which he can do. For example, a little bit more self-confidence. There's a sign which is like this. And that he can put into his heart, and that goes into the heart space, and that will boost his confidence, his self-confidence.
Is that the symbol from Reiki?
No, it's partly a symbol. Reiki does part of that thing.
Okay.
But it's not the other parts. No, that's light language.
Okay. Oh, interesting. So he would like to know, what star is his home, or where does he call home?
He read a book once where the first sentence was, "My name is Satya, I'm the librarian on Alcione." And that there was like a kundalini through his body. It just went from, I want to go home. Alcione is the prime star there. I mean, there are 8 others. There are 9 actually, not 7. The terrestrials can't see 9; they only see 7. One of them is also Lyra, I think. I'm not quite sure. Aldebaran is another one. That's the father star. Yeah, Alcione, yes, he originated from there. He came from Alcione, right when the Pleiadians came to Earth. he was on the mission because he volunteered to come, and that's why he's got the affinity with the Pleiadians. He once met a woman when he was living in Backnang, which is about 100 kilometers from here, and she was a therapist in singing bowls, Tibetan singing bowls, and she had a very great affinity with vibration. And one day, Chris had always heard about her, but had never met her. One day, at a town fair, he met her, and she placed a finger against him, and it radiated all the way through. And she said to her children, "Oh, he's one of us. We come from up there, from the Pleiadians." So he's now got a second confirmation of that. That was a nice little situation for him.
So he mentions a lot of books that he's read. What's his connection with the knowledge from books? With the knowledge from books? Was that part of his journey?
Yes, of course, because all this knowledge is refreshing his own knowledge. When he reads a book and it resonates with him, it's because it's old knowledge coming back. And he's gathering all this knowledge. And he started fairly young because he had always had an affinity to books. I mean, before he started moving, because he moved from Backnang up to the north of Germany, and he had to get rid of really a lot of books, which he didn't like. He gave them away. In Backnang, there's a sort of a bookshelf where people can put books, and other people go by and take the books they want. He put hundreds of books in there. And but he has still kept the most important books for him, which are books about Reiki, about Michael Newton, his books, and Brian Weiss, and all these things about shamanism and nature and what have you. He's kept those books. That's his inner circle of knowledge. That's the closest to his heart. The other books were just refreshing his knowledge, but these books are things that he needs to look at again and again and again.
So whenever he goes to visit a place, because he's well traveled, what is he doing whenever he visits those places?
Well, he's just revisiting places he used to be at. Phuket. When he went to Phuket in Thailand, he went to a place called Koh Phi Phi. There's an island in an H-shaped. And opposite that, there's another little island, which is Koh Phi Phi Lo, Koh Phi Phi Yo. And that's where they did a film once called Two Children on a Desert Island when they were young. They were cut off, etc., and that's where they filmed it. The Beach, it's called. And one of his lifetimes, Chris was also like that, on a beach in an island. And he was the friend of the dolphins, because the dolphins, again, come from a water world, where he also had a lifetime. And he was friends with the dolphins, and they protected him against sharks and what have you. But he used to love playing with the dolphins as a child, and even as a grown man. And he found out that the place where he actually did that was in a bay on in an island group called Vanuatu, which is about 1,000 miles to the east of Australia, North Australia, the Vanuatu Islands. There was a little bay there that all the dolphins go in there, and that's where he lived. But this Phuket thing and Kopi Pillay, that's what he was there for, to remind him of that, because we couldn't get him to Vanuatu. It's too out of the way.
So what about the other places? In France, in Sedona, Turkey?
Turkey. Again, a previous lifetime. Turkey was, in this lifetime, was an eye-opener for him. It was basically us showing him the way he should go. And he got detracted, he got sidetracked again. But he'll get back there. Not to Turkey, but to France. Funnily enough, there's a lot of esoteric people in the southwest of France, but there's nobody from Dolores Cannon. The nearest person is in Nice. So he's going to start something in that area, and that's why he had this dream or vision of making a speech about Nostradamus, because at least the French can relate to that, because it's somebody of their own ilk, there's somebody of their own people, and they don't want to talk about Americans, they want to talk about French people.
Yes.
So that was a good choice.
Good. I'm excited for him to join Dolores' team.
Sorry, was?
I said I'm delighted that he's going to join Dolores' team.
Well, yes, he's looking forward to it, and he's just waiting to have a long period where he can do the 21 hours in quiet without having to look after dogs and other, Yeah, he's looking forward to that.
So, is he to go to Sedona this May? They're having a retreat.
I know, in May. I know that. I don't think he'll be able to get over there. He's got a little bit of difficulty with American officialdom. He's been to America about 3 times now, and it's getting worse. The Home Guard. He does not really. He says no. He's 75. He can't go long distances any longer. He can't sit down for that long.
Smart. So, can I ask what's the significance of Sedona?
Sedona?
Yes.
That was Sedona is not far from where this Pueblo village was. Down in I think it's close by. That's where the desert was, where this Indian saw to change between green and desert.
Yes.
But Sedona is on a ley line as well. It's from Mount Shasta, one of the ley lines that go through Sedona. So it's a magic place. Okay. Yeah. Aptly chosen for this conclave. It's a power place.
Yes.
Are you going?
I am, yes.
Oh, you lucky thing.
What inner work does he still need to do?
He's getting there. It's the inner work. He's done all the forgiveness work. He's now terminated the contracts with everybody, which is necessary. The people who want to stay with him will stay with him, his family and his close friends. Well, even Stephanie. He's got a lot of work to do in the south of France. So the inner work which he needs to do is self-confidence, a little bit more self-confidence, And this is with these light signs, which you can do.
Okay. He wants to know, should he start the Dolores Cannon training?
Oh, definitely.
Okay.
Definitely, as soon as possible.
Okay. And then he said, trying to make sure I have all of his questions answered. Okay, he says, I am living with a young woman.
That's the Stephanie.
Oh, that's Stephanie. Okay. Thank you. Can we talk about the lymphatic leukemia?
Lymphatic leukemia. That goes back to the breakup between Birgit and him. That was in 1993, 1994. And that was a shock to his body. And that's where the blood stopped flowing, basically, and things started going awry. It was only detected in 2009, and he was already at 35,000 then, according to the German count system. He's now at 77,000, but he shouldn't worry about it. I mean, keep an eye on it if you want to. You don't need to, because the most important thing is how you feel. It'll go away. It'll go away because once he starts doing what he wants to do, his purpose, his passion, it'll just disappear.
Okay. And so the dizziness in the lower back, you're still working on that, right?
Yeah, that's taking a bit longer than we thought.
Okay. What about the warts in his genitalia?
That's again the lower back. It's everything to do is from the water chakra down the bottom. That's what we're working on at the moment. At the moment, it's very warm.
Okay. And then his tiredness, the fatigue.
That's just the ascension symptoms. Just there are times of the day when after he's rested, he's right as rain. But when the body needs rest, you've got to follow his body. And so this is a question of, he's always been head strong, if you wish.
Yes.
That his mind has always been racing miles in front of his body, and the body's saying, hey, wait for me, I'm there too, So he's got to be mindful of his body, and just to sort of slow down a bit. Just slow down, and that's important.
And then is that the same for the gardening or anything that he's doing? Just listen to his body.
Absolutely.
And then go back to it.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay. I see. Is there any messages that you can give him?
Keep on the path, because he's now gained a lot of knowledge through reading Dolores's books, and it's not without. We guided him to read book 2 again, after having finished the 3 waves and the New Earth, because book 2 has got a lot of information in there, which is relevant to him. It resonates with him, and he'll enjoy that again.
That's where I started, was book 2.
Yeah.
And why is it that we can only read so much and then we have to put it down before we can continue reading?
The human mind, the 3D mind, is so limited. It has to digest. It has to digest. It's simple as that. And the slower the more often you put the book down and think about it, the better. Because then it sort of assimilates much more easy. It's like take a book like a meal, and you can't eat for 5-6 hours at a time. You have to pause in between bites, in between meals, in between, so that the body can digest. It's assimilated into the body. It's the same with reading a book. You assimilate the knowledge in small chunks. It's better to have 5 small meals a day than a big meal or 3 times a day.
It seems our paths are very similar. Is that by coincidence?
My path and your path?
Yes.
Yes, it's very similar. The thing is that there are many parallels. Many people have been sent who are awakening, who are coming to their consciousness, and many people have got parallel or similar experiences. Not always the same, but similar. Yeah. And it's surprising how Chris got in touch with you. You were in, was it in Ibiza?
Yes.
Yes?
Mm-hmm.
And this Spanish woman met you there. And and Chris wrote onto the BHH and QHT portals saying, I'm looking for a session. And we put this Spanish woman in touch with Chris, who got her and put in touch with you. And that's how it came apart. Yes. It came to pass.
She had an amazing session too. You guys literally zapped her to get her attention.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, well, I'm happy to facilitate this.
Basically, every person has the answers in himself. It just has to come out.
Absolutely. Can he have a parting message?
Just keep on the way he's going. Though we've told him that many times, but he never listens. Just keep on the way you're going.
Okay. And will you continue to heal him and work on him?
We will.
Good. And how will he know, what's a confirmation that he would know and recognize when he's communicating with you and receiving messages?
A feeling in the center of it's a sort of a vibration. Let's call it a cold vibration in the center of the forehead, and there's the third eye.
Okay. And then does he doesn't need to raise his frequency anymore, is that correct?
There will be more frequencies coming in, yes.
Oh,
but he's doing it by stages. I mean, we're doing it by stages.
Right.
You can't take it too much at one time, because it's an old body. Come on, a person who's younger could probably manage it, but he's got to take it a bit slower.
Okay. And then whenever he becomes a QHHT practitioner, are you lining up clients for him?
Oh, definitely, yes. I mean, he's got a whole pool of clients down in the south of France, okay. And he could do it in 3 languages.
Yes, that's fascinating. What about what's significant at the tip of France?
What's significant about France?
Yes.
As I said, it's an area where nobody from QHHT or VHT is there. It needs to be filled. And what is important about Montpellier is it's one of the biggest research centers of medicine and law in France. There are so many hospitals and what have you in that area, and if he could sort of develop a clientele there, and also have talks, he won't be able to do it straight away. But if you can put on some talks and things and and bring all the other people from France down to these talks and have a sort of a panel discussion and what have you, then there will be a definite change in the ideas of the medical people in that area and the professors who teach it. That's the idea.
Very nice. Okay. Well, I'm going to allow you to continue to work on him. I absolutely know that you can heal every part of his body that he's asking for. And you've given him plenty of information that will bring healing to his body. I'm going to give thanks to the SC for being with us today. And I'm asking the subconscious to recede to where it belongs, with much love and thanks for the help and information it has been giving Chris today. I know he will appreciate it, and I want all the entities from the other lives to recede into the past and the time where they belong, with much love and much thanks for the information that they have given us today. And remember that things in the past belong in the past, and we will leave them in the past. We only brought them forward as a curiosity to learn from, to have information to help with the present lifetime. In that way, they're valuable and have importance. But as Chris listens to the recording and reviews the material and puts the information into place, it will not bother him in any way, mentally or physically. And that's very important. It will not bother him in any way, mentally or physically. That's very important. I would like the subconsciousness and personality of Chris to once again fully integrate back into the body and completely integrate back into his body. All of the consciousness and personality of Chris is once again fully integrated into the body, replacing all the other parts we were speaking to. Now I want Chris to move up, up, up through time and space and orient yourself back into the present day and time. This February 16th, 2024, you are lying here in a bed in Germany. You had just had a very interesting experience. And I want you to remember that the present life you are living right now is the most important life of all, because it's the one you're focused on at the present time. Any information we can find in this way is valuable. It will not bother you in any way, mentally or physically. That's very important. It will not bother you in any way. I'm going to count you out to the count of 10, and then you'll be wide awake, feeling wonderful all over, as though you've had a nice nap, a nice, relaxing sleep. You'll feel truly rested and refreshed. Anytime you do this, bless you, this will be an enjoyable experience. Now follow me up as we go to the count of 10, and you'll feel wonderful and wide awake. 1, 2, you're beginning to breathe a bit faster, and your body is circulating, and your blood is circulating a little bit faster because you're beginning to wake up. 3, 4, you're beginning to be more aware of the physical body, very much aware of your body. 5, 6, you can move your arms and legs and muscles are working and circulating. 7, 8, you're aware of the sounds in the room and out of the room. And 9, 10, you're beginning to wake up, coming up nicely. You're wide awake, feeling refreshed and wonderful all over. How was that?
Oh, incredible.
Yeah.